Why do we do this every time?
I don't know, but this is gonna be like
I'm
a long intro.
No, don't keep this. All right.
I'll keep some of it.
All right. Ready? Yeet. What's up on the Rock podcast? Welcome to episode 7. So glad to be here with you guys. I'm here in the studio with Justin.
What's up, y'all?
What's up, Justin? That's Justin. I'm Hudson. If you didn't already know, yeah, episode 7. That's like the number of completeness, right? In God's word.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. That's kind of cool.
It's pretty cool.
Complete social media. I don't even know. Like, what would you say? 7. What are we complete now? What do we complete? A week's worth of episodes.
Yes. Whoa. Let's go. And then on the weekend, you can listen to the intro episode.
Yeah. You can do that on like a Sunday, like after church. Because you're already like, man, I just got taught a whole bunch of stuff. I don't want to listen to anything anymore. But you can do the intro because it's like, oh, wait. No, wait. We're 7 plus 0. So it's 8 episodes, basically.
Yeah.
Never mind. Forget what I just said.
It's like 7 1/4.
Something like that.
But anyways, so glad you are here with us listening. This episode today, I'm really excited for because it's personal to me and somewhere where God has changed me and Justin. And I know it's going to be so impactful for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, how are you, Justin, before we just jump in?
I'm doing well. Just got to work out in before this. A little bit
of a pump? You got a pump?
A little bit of a pump.
Okay.
Hopefully playing pickleball.
Let's go.
But yeah, been chilling. How about you?
Good. Recovering from being in Turkey. I feel like I'm normal now, but like the jet lag was a little there. We were in Turkey last week on like a study trip with our church. It was really awesome. Got to walk where Paul walked and Mary and John and some other people in the Bible. Yeah. But it was transformational, like just to be where they walked and like to see what they saw. And like you could just imagine the city, like the pagan city they were in, and like how they still share the gospel in the midst of that. I don't know. I thought that was like amazing to like, you could feel, you know, how they really did have to face persecution, you know?
Yeah, it definitely took me a bit to understand. Because it's like, oh, wow, that's so cool. Ruins, like rocks and bricks and stuff like that. And it's like, that's kind of cool. But then it's like, you know, God, help me understand like what this truly means, like what this actually looks like, or like looked like back in the day. Because it's like, I don't want to like come here and have this like potentially once in a lifetime trip and only like take in part of it, you know? So I think, you know, just asking God for that understanding, like God definitely did that, help me with that. So it's good.
That's awesome. Yeah. It was beautiful there too, and great food, all of that. Yeah. So we're talking about today, as you saw from the title, how do I overcome lust? Mm-hmm. And man, this can be a heavy topic. Can be uncomfortable for some people. I know for me it was uncomfortable for a while, and even just like thinking about filming this episode, I started to get a little uneasy just because, I don't know, it used to be a struggle of mine. And so like to share about this, some people can make this more shameful, I guess.
Yeah.
And so like to share about it can be a little daunting, but now as we've talked about it, like I feel good about it. I'm excited to share with you guys because God has helped me, like I said, so much in this area, and I know he can help you too. And so, yeah, what is lust? We hear that word a lot, but like, what does that really mean?
Yeah. So lust, if you're lusting after something, it's like having a strong desire to just want to take. So you're just like, that's mine.
Even though it's not yours.
Right. It's not yours. And so that could look like different things. Specifically, we're talking about like sexually. So like if you're sexually lusting after somebody, you're wanting to take them and take their body for your own, to fulfill your own desires. If you're lusting after like food or something like that you're just like, oh, I just need that because it's, you know, it's not yours, it's mine. Like it's all mine. That's what lust in general means.
Like the lust for power or money or something.
But lust, like in this specific like topic we're talking about today, is like sexually, like I just said. Like we're just gonna be talking about like what that looks like on a day-to-day basis of like how you might be lusting after, you know, a woman or a man, depending on, you know, who you are.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's good. Yeah, I like that. How you describe that. And I want to say this. Lust, both men and women, girls and boys can struggle with it, but the majority is men. It's like 98% of men, they struggle with lust. So if you have a brother, a dad, or any guy in your life, whatever, boyfriend, husband, whatever, like he struggles most likely with lust, like, and that's probably been something he struggled with for a long time, whether he shared about it or not. Like, it's just something, how our brains are wired as men. I believe that the enemy has perverted it, for, like we're attracted to women, which is fine. But I believe like Satan has perverted that and twisted that to then be lustful after women instead of just healthy attraction.
Yeah, lust is a misplaced like desire and a sexual desire. So like the desire for sex and desire for pleasure is not bad. Like God has a perfect place for that, and that's marriage, right?
Yeah.
So like he created sex to be a close connection between a man and his wife. And so that's what we want, because that's God's best for us. But at the same time, naturally, like our flesh wants that outside of marriage. We're like, we want that now. Like I want that, to just fulfill my own desire whenever I want it to be or however I want it to be. And so what lust is that's misplaced. Instead of it being where God wants or calls it for it to be, it's misplaced into your own desires. And so that's whenever it turns into a sin and turns into something that's dangerous and destructive, because it's no longer what is God's best for us, right?
Yeah. And so many of y'all listening right now might not have ever shared with someone, hey, I struggle with lust. I watch porn when no one else knows, or when I'm at the pool, I sneak looks at people or whatever. Or maybe you're even like a girl right now listening and you're like, this is kind of a boy problem. Like I can't share, like I might be the only one, but like I've heard of girls who do struggle with this, and it's more rare, but we all struggle with sin, right? And so God is gracious for that, right? But anyways, you might be there right now and like you've never shared this, and you might think, I'm the only one who struggles with lust, or I'm a creep or a pervert for this, and no one else knows. No one else is like this. Like I'm the only one who thinks this way, has these weird thoughts or desires or whatever. But let me just tell you right now, so many men struggle with this. Like if you're a guy right now listening, so many of us, like me and Justin, we've both struggled with lust. 100%. Like we still have temptations. And so many people struggle with this. And so you're not alone. You're not a creep or pervert. That's Satan whispering lies of death into you, saying those things, right, to beat you down, because he doesn't want you to live in freedom. He doesn't want you to share what you're struggling with, right? And so we want to talk about how you can find that freedom. But before we get there, I want to talk about kind of our struggles and our story in this, because I think it would be really insightful for those listening.
Yeah.
I can start. So for me, like I said, men are wired this way. And so literally since I've been like in preschool, I've had like lustful thoughts or whatever, even as an innocent little kid, just wherever I'm at. Right. And so like, I hate that that's the reality, but we live in a broken world. But when it really became like a stronghold for me, like when I was in chains to it, was probably like 7th, 8th grade is when I started to look at images on my phone or look up things on Google or whatever, because I was curious. It was like curiosity mixed with that lust, and that's never good, like being curious that way, like going further and like going down further rabbit holes, because it's just going to lead to you seeing worse and worse stuff. And so I remember looking up things that would have been questions I should have asked my parents, or just things I wanted to find out about or whatever. And then I would say it got really bad my sophomore year. I began to, look at more images, and my parents had found out when I was like 7th grade or whatever. And we had to talk about it, whatever. But then like sophomore year, it became a struggle again really badly, and I would look at things in private, like when no one else was there, no one else really knew. But then I was like, this is so bad. Like I feel in chains. Like I feel so broken. Feel like disgusting for what I'm doing. Like I feel like I'm a creep or whatever. And so I shared with my dad what was going on and how I was struggling. Instead of chewing me out, yelling at me or whatever, like, he met me with love and grace, because he was like, I've been there. I've struggled with that really badly, and it's still a temptation for me today, and I still fall sometimes, you know? And so he was able to meet with grace and be like, God has helped me there too, so why would I meet you with anger and hate, whatever? Like, I want to help you too, just how God helped me. And so I got to walk through the struggle with my dad as he would help me, and as I would confess. And I would confess and repent, but then I would fall back into it. And so even though I kept confessing and repenting, like I just felt still so stuck. And I would still go back to images or videos on random stuff like YouTube or whatever. Like I wasn't seeing any of like the hardcore bad stuff like porn or whatever, but like it was still causing my mind to go there. And it was just like this really dark place, and it was stealing my joy. I felt two-faced like around my family, or at church or whatever. And so I remember it came to like this climax moment where, I was still telling my dad about it, but then I would fall a few days later or the day after, and I'd be begging God on my knees, like, help me with this. Like, I need your help. Like, I'm trying. Like, am I ever going to get freed? And I remember it came to this pinnacle moment. It was like probably like 11 at night. Everyone was asleep, and I went on my phone, and it was like this, like when I was in a stronghold with lust, like I could really feel how I opened the door to like demonic influence. And if you don't know, like we live, like we're not just flesh and bones and blood, you know, like we have a soul. We're fighting a spiritual battle. And so since I kept going to this sin, I was leaving this door open in my life where I could allow Satan and his demons to influence me. And so I remember times when I would like lose control, basically, not anything crazy where I'm like shaking or anything, but like I would lose kind of my will or power to control what was going on. And I would just like give in. Like it just got too strong, and like it'd feel like this darkness over me when I'd be looking at stuff, and I didn't even want to be there. And I would be like super jittery and just like kind of shaky, and I would just feel like hot in my head, and it was just like this darkness over me when I would like, and I'm like, I don't want to be here. I feel so it was like this rush of fear when I was looking at stuff. And so that happened again that night, where this like really this demonic influence in my life, because I had to open those doors, and I started to look at things like, I was like just scrolling on YouTube, like looking up like as much as I could, even though YouTube doesn't show you anything really that bad, you know. Like I was just looking for somewhere, thirsting for somewhere to lust, right? And I don't know how it caught my eye. I think I was like trying to delete the videos I was looking at or something, and I saw the account I was on, and it was like my school email, and I was like, bro, I'm cooked. Like now, like, and I never used my school email for YouTube or anything else, so I'm like, I'll get back to why that's important, but I'm like, bro, I'm cooked. So I start freaking out, because I'm like, bro, I'm gonna be caught and like kicked out of school or whatever, and like my reputation's gonna be lost or whatever for this sin. And so I run downstairs to my dad, and I'm like crying, and I'm like, do something, like change this, like what have I done? Like I just threw away my life or whatever. And so he sat with me there like in the middle of the night, helping me, trying to help me calm down, like sharing truth with me. And God says that he disciplines those who he loves. And so I know for a fact that it wasn't an accident that was my school email, because of that, it like sent like this fear of God into me, and this discipline of like, I could have been caught there. It could have gone so bad. And so that like struck like this fear of God into me of like, I don't want to do that again. Like, I don't want to, like, God basically gave me like that little, like that slap I needed to wake up and be like, hey, you don't need to be here. And I know if that didn't happen that day, I would have kept going deeper and deeper into lust and into darker things and watching porn, like getting to that place. And so God was so gracious in that moment to discipline me. And so that's what really helped me that moment. Like, I haven't looked at stuff like that ever since. And it was horrible. And I lived in fear at school, like the next really year or two of just like walking around every time I would see my principal or whatever, like, is he going to just call me aside and like talk to me about this? And I was ready, to be like, talk to them, but never happened. And God was gracious to only discipline me in that way of just putting that healthy fear into me of him and his discipline. But ever since then, I haven't, looked at images like that. Like, I think only like once or twice I've fallen in that area. And yes, I still will lust in person or whatever, but it's not as bad as it used to be. And I'm still tempted, very much so. But when you're tempted and you do not like act upon it, the Bible says you're without sin. So you can be tempted to look up things or to think about things or to look at someone at the pool or whatever, but decide, no, I'm not going to do this and be without sin, And so that's a really embarrassing story about me, but God has used it to help me find freedom from lust, and to not be there anymore. And so don't wait till that moment where you have to be disciplined so harshly or like get that slap on your face to have to wake up from lust and be like, this isn't worth it. Right. And so I'm glad God did, because I don't know where I'd be now, but that's kind of where I was at. And yeah, those were some of my struggles.
That's so good. I don't know. I just love to hear just God's faithfulness through it all. You know what I mean? It's like you just continue to go down. And honestly, my story is so similar to yours. And just hearing like how it's just like further, just going down a rabbit hole, going down further and further and further. And then like part of us is like, there's no way that God can save me now. Like, I'm just too far down the hole. He can't reach in. He can't grab me. His arm's not long enough, But the reality is like he definitely can, and he will, as long as you let him. Like if you're still faced with a decision, right? Like he gave you that slap on the face. It's like, hey, wake up, but you still have the decision. It's like, I could just keep going and just be like, all right, I'm safe. Nothing happened. No, I can go back. But instead you're like, you know what? No, you're right. Like this is it. I need to stop, That's so good. I think, yeah, mine's definitely similar in terms of age for sure. I could go back to like, I think it's 7th grade. I went on a purity trip with my dad, right? And so like we got to talk about like what things were, like what that meant for me in my future, like what that would look like with my wife and stuff like that. And so I just got introduced, not in a bad way, but like in a knowledgeable way, like, hey, you need to be aware that these are real things, and like this is how you need to be aware to avoid it, and like this is the right context for it and whatnot. And one of the things that I just remember is at the time I was like already like kind of struggling, just like searching up, just like out of curiosity, like what is this? Like I'm hearing stuff at school, like what does this actually like mean? So like it'd be like definitions, it could be pictures, whatever. So I was like already doing that at the time. And my dad was like, if you do this stuff, like you're going to be in big trouble. And at the time I was like, oh shoot, like I'm like, this is bad, you know? And looking back now, it wasn't like out of just wrath of just my dad being like, you know, like, I'm going to punch you or whatever if you do this. Like, that's not what he was like.
It was like protection.
Yeah, it was protection, because he wanted to scare me, not in a bad way that's like, hey, don't ever like you might not want to talk to me about this because like I'm going to hurt you kind of thing. It wasn't anywhere close to that. That's what I thought at the time.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, like, you're going to get in trouble if you do this, so don't go towards it. So that's like protection, because it's like, if he's like, oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's there, blah, 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 whatever. Then I'm like, okay, well, I won't get disciplined for it. Then why should I even care? Like, why? It's not even that bad, you know, whatever. So it was like a healthy fear of knowing that like there are consequences for my actions, right? And so like, just as I continued to go on, like I had confessed it, like at the time I was like, oh, I didn't realize like this is what blah, blah, blah was, you know, whatever. And it was true. I didn't really know like what anything was at the time. And so like my dad got to walk me through that and been like, hey, it's okay. Like, you can just turn away from it now. Well, I also didn't really understand a lot of practical advice at the time because I wasn't that deep in it yet. And then I just say like a couple months later, then I just got back into it, and just like further my curiosity just carried me, you know, like it's like you said, like it's tied in with the lust, is just wanting more with curiosity, and also just the like normal like sexual desire. And so I'm just like searching for more, looking for more. And sometimes it's like I wouldn't even find anything, but it's just like I need it. So I'm just like keep searching, even if I don't find anything, and looking to just be fulfilled. And I could feel like that darkness like come over me, just like trying to search to find fulfillment. And that continued for years, honestly, just progressively getting worse. And unlike you, like I actually did eventually get introduced into pornography. And honestly, at that point, it was like a surprise too, because it's like I knew that what I was searching up wasn't good, but the moment that something popped up that I knew that like was like that was pornography, it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't like realize that it was going to go this far. But then at that point, instead of it like scaring me, like it scared me, but at the same time, it's like the next day, it's like, oh, I kind of want that again. You know what I mean? And so then it's like just continuing to go back. And so like from there, it's just like worse and worse, and just searching up more, trying to find different words to word in a different way to get different pictures or whatever. And it was dark. It was just dark. Just living in a life of just secrecy, just like going to church on Sundays, on Wednesdays, being discipled by our youth pastor at the time, is like just not wanting to like tell anybody, because it was just like, it's like nobody's going to listen to me. Like I'm just like too disgusting, you know, like nobody struggles with this, whatever. And then honestly, I felt a lot of just freedom from life groups, which if you don't know, life groups is like a small group that we do during the school year with people of like your age and your gender. So like Hudson and I were in the same life group, and we were with other and what the time that I'm talking about is like other 11th grade guys. Yeah. And so we got to talk about purity that year, right? And so Mr. Rangel, his dad, who was like just on the episode a couple episodes before this.
Yeah, that was a good episode. If you haven't watched it.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, go watch it.
For sure.
But anyway, he was one of our life group leaders. And so we just started talking about a lot about like just accountability and what it means to have true accountability, and like what that looks like how to be a good accountability partner, stuff like that. And so just from that moment on, like just everybody just started confessing, and then it just got overwhelming to a point where it's like, I can't hold this anymore, because like I just feel awful just like keeping it in, and like everybody else is like spilling out their guts, and I'm just like, yeah, that's cool, you know, whatever. Yeah. And so then it just got to a point where I could just feel the Holy Spirit just like nudging me, like, come on, get it out. And so then at that point, then I was just like, all right, this is what I'm struggling with. And it wasn't like a right away, like everything just came out as much as I would like it, like would have loved it for it to be. It was just like progressively, like the more that I had conversations, like the more stuff came out. And so I just like continued to find freedom from that, and just being able to just, you know, get it off of my chest. And so it was no longer just me keeping it away, right? I guess even before that, just to highlight the darkness, is just like there was a time during, it was Christmas break of my sophomore year. It was what's supposed to be like one of the most joyful weeks, ever, because of like Christmas and just like the joy. It's like literally the holiday of joy, right?
Yeah.
And so I felt the complete opposite of that, because I knew that I was hiding something at the time, because this was before I confessed. And I was just hiding that sin, that darkness, and I wanted freedom from it.
Whoa.
But I didn't have like any like, I didn't have the guts to get it out, right? And so I just felt that darkness, and I felt a depression, and it wasn't like a doctor had like labeled me like, yep, you're depressed. Like I could just tell like I was depressed, because I was just sad. I didn't like my life. I didn't like where I was at. I found no fulfillment anywhere. I felt like I wasn't loved. And it's like, it's a weird feeling, because it's like I know that I'm loved by the family that's around me, but also don't feel like I'm loved at the same time. And it's so hard to describe, but it's just like I just felt like there was nowhere to go. And so there was just many just nights where I'm like falling asleep late at night, like literally crying myself to sleep. Like I'd just be there like, what am I doing? Like, what? I don't know where to go from here. And I'm just like crying. I'm like praying like, God, what do I do? What do I do? And then there's just a moment. It's actually kind of interesting, just simply God showing me that he was actually there. And I was like, God, if you truly care, if like, you truly want me to be free from this, if there's really a way to be out of this, then God, would you just simply just like show me a person, like have somebody just check on me, like just simply just say like, hey, how are you doing? And like lo and behold, like a few days later, out of nowhere, someone who would never even just like ask like, how are you doing? There's just this friend that's like, hey, how have you been doing lately? Like never asked me before, hardly really even asked me after that. It was just like, I know that was all God, and there's just no way. I'm like,
that's crazy.
Dang, you fulfilled the one thing that I was asking for. Like, how can I like doubt that you're even there, And so I just got to see the life that came in from like, I'm not alone. Like there is somebody that cares about me. And it just showed that like, even though there may like, he's like showing that because I wanted to be seen by the people around me, and I wasn't worried. I was like, you know what, God, whatever, like just go away. It's like, but I want to be seen by the people who are around me, right? And so like I was like constantly just like trying to look sad, at least, like even though I was like trying to make sure that I looked like the part, so that people would be like, hey, are you okay? Like can I give you a hug? Whatever, something like that. So I wanted that attention, but I just felt like God just being like, hey, you don't need them, you need me. Like you're trying to rely on everybody else's attention, but you don't need them, you need me. And so I was just like, God, you're right. Like I need you, God. And I don't even know, it was like from there I started to just find just little bits and pieces of freedom. I just grew closer and closer to freedom. It wasn't right away. It wasn't overnight that I was like, all right, I'm back in it. I'm never going to struggle with this again. It wasn't like that. It was just slowly, just one day at a time. Like maybe it's like I used to like struggle every single day with lust and pornography, just like falling every day. And then I'd be sad and be like, oh no. And the next day I'd be back in it again. Mm-hmm. But then as time went on, there was time that went in between that. It was a day between then, 2 days between then, 3 days between then, a week between then, like so on and so on. I could just see God just start to heal me and pull me from that. And that's no thing that I could possibly do. And I could see that because I was stuck in a rut. I was crying myself to sleep every night. That's not something that just, it was my own self, like my own being just flipped a switch and I was freed from that, right?
Yeah.
And so I could just see progressively God just continue to pull me out of that to a point where now I'm chasing accountability. I'm chasing life away from that. And so I don't have to live in the fear that, that like I'm going to fall 2 minutes from now, because I know that I can rely on God and the people who are around me to free me from that, to help keep me from that. And I just, instead of opening doors over and over again, just being like, oh, this small little thing. And don't get me wrong, this is still something I struggle with on a day-to-day basis of just like trying to make sure that door stays closed.
Yeah.
And there's still times that I definitely crack it and it goes further and I fall in some way, but I'm not constantly opening that door further and further and further. It's like now it's a battle to keep the door shut.
Yeah, and you
Right.
you get back up, you
Mhm.
confess it, you seek help,
Mhm.
and it's not like unconfessed sin in the dark. It's not unrepentant sin. Like now it's different, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, man. Thanks for sharing that. That was really cool to hear, and I know you've told me some of that before, but to hear it again was just really powerful.
Mhm.
And dark, like just like that picture you gave of like during Christmas. Like imagine all the lights and all the merry looking stuff, but then like you just sitting there, in the
Mhm.
darkness, sad, alone. Like that's what it does to you. Like lust, like it isn't just some little sin you can play with, and it's not going to get worse. Like it's going to get worse if you are just maybe, let's say, in the shallow end of it. And it's going to affect how you treat others, how you act around others, how your relationship with God is. It's going to affect all those things. And not even short term, but long term too. Like if you're watching pornography, let's say, and you plan to get married one day, like it's going to mess you up because you're going to have failed expectations. You're going to think, let's say you're a guy watching porn, and when you get married one day, and you're having sex, like that's your expectations are like this fictitious thing.
Fictitious. That's a crazy word.
Yeah.
I heard that before.
Just like it's this counterfeit, fake. It's not how reality is. When in reality, it's a whole different thing.
Mhm.
And so it's going to mess you up because you're going to be expecting one thing and you're going to get another thing. It's going to mess up like how you treat your wife and your relationship with her. You're going to have these scars going in. And so if you can get a hold of it now, before marriage, before pursuing someone or before dating, like it's going to help so much. And maybe if you are married right now and you're listening and you struggle with it, or you have, like, there's still so much hope, and grace God has. And there's been so many people who have been porn addicts and God changes them and frees them. And yes, it's harder, in marriage, but God's able to still bring, restoration there. So we talked a lot about our story, and we talked some about how we got freed, but I want to talk about, like really how did God help us overcome that bondage, like those chains on us? Like how did that happen? Like for me, like I said, that moment, that pinnacle moment, and that, God's discipline. But leading up to that, it took a lot of confession too. Because if I hadn't been confessing and then I got that slap, like it wouldn't have been the same. Like I believe like God did that, because I was sinning and he was disciplining me, but also he was honoring my obedience in those past few months of when I was deep and struggling, because I was still confessing and I was trying, I was praying, I was on my knees begging God. Like I just remember so many times I would look at something on my phone and fall again, and then I would like put on like a worship song about like staying strong or like surrendering or just needing a move of God, and I'd be there on my knees like begging God, like, Lord, I just need you right now because it's so dark. And I remember so many times doing that, and God saw me there. Sorry. He's just so
You get me
good.
too, bro.
He saw me there in those dark moments. And I would confess to my dad, and doing that, asking God for help, like he heard me. And man, confessing really helps a lot, because when you're in the dark, like there's really no saving of you. Like obviously God will intervene and help you, but like if you're in the darkness with your sin, you're alone, and Satan has you right where he wants you. But once you bring it into light, then that's when you can start to move forward. So if like you haven't ever told somebody about your struggle, like your first step is you need to bring the darkness into the light. Because that's when God can work and use, like work in there. But if you're not bringing it to the light, you're not being obedient and allowing him to use that, like you're allowing him to like intervene, right, and help you in your situation. And so you got to bring it into the light. You got to share it with someone. And that's like a really hard step. And so I know sometimes for me I was caught, and that's what brought it into light. But other times I've had to really be like, okay, I need to share this even though it's really embarrassing or hard. And so what helps me is you need to find a trusted person of the same gender. So for me, I need like a man. And so it helps me to find like an adult or a leader in my life. So for me it's my dad, but for you it might be, I don't know, teacher, if you go to like a Christian school or know a Christian teacher, or maybe a youth leader, whoever, uncle, grandpa, whoever it may be. Like you need to find that leader and confess. And so for me, it would help me to be like, get those words out of, hey, can we talk? And once I said those words, then it was like, okay, I'm going to have this conversation now. Like I basically put myself there, but just saying, hey, can we talk? That really would help.
Yeah, honestly, that I could completely relate to that. Cause like, I just feel like confession, just like being able to confess it to people like you and to like my dad, there's just so much freedom like brought in that, because like you said, like it's just bringing it into light. And so I no longer have to live in darkness, and the enemy lives in darkness. So the moment that I'm in darkness is the moment that I'm in his territory, and that I can be worried about being threatened by him. Right. So like, yeah, just the confession just brings that all to light. And so I no longer have to live in that darkness of being stuck, in his grasp anymore.
Now you can find help and someone to come alongside you, whether instead of just doing it by yourself, yeah, like you need that accountability, right? And so like confession and confessing it to others and bringing it to light is really important. But also you need like that accountability. You can't just do it. Confession isn't a one-time thing. It's something you have to do over and over again for the rest of your life with lust or with any other sin. Like you need to confess it. God says when we confess our sins, we'll be healed, right? And so you need accountability. So especially with lust, it's so important to have accountability, because lust is it's one of those sins it's not easy to just get away from. It's like really strong.
It's a daily battle too.
Yeah. And so you have to be serious about killing this sin, like really serious about it if you're going to find freedom.
100%.
And so one of those ways is accountability. Like what does accountability look like practically?
Well, so yeah, accountability would just be like having people around you, because like we were just talking about, it's like bringing that to light. So that means the only way that you can really bring it to light is to have people around you, right? And so like having people to even listen to it. Otherwise you're just talking to just yourself. And so accountability requires, you to be surrounded by people who care about you, who love Jesus and want what's best for you. It's not people who are going to tell you what you want to hear. Not like, oh no, don't worry about it. Your sin is great. Like you can live in that and you'll find more pleasure in that. That's not what you want. You want somebody who's going to tell you exactly what you need to hear, and not something that you just want to hear, right?
Yeah.
And so that could be 1, 2, 3, 4 guys or girls, depending on, who's best suited for you. And that just looks like you were saying, and just actively confessing in a way that's not just like, oh yeah, I lost yesterday. Okay, well, what now? No, you have to be specific in like how you're confessing, right?
Like why do we have to be specific though? Like what's the importance?
Yeah, because like if you're just saying, like I just lusted yesterday or I fell yesterday, your accountability group can't help you in that, because that's their job. Their job is to be there to help you and support you and pick you back up and point you more into a direction that's going to like take you to Jesus, right?
That's so good. Like, how are they going to speak into your life if you aren't really sharing what it is that specific sin or like what specifically you did? Because if you're just like you said, if I fell today, like, oh, do better, bro. But like, they can't really give you practical.
Yeah, they can't read your mind. They don't know what happened. Only you can tell them what happened, right? And so the more specific you are, then the more specific that they can give solutions, right? So like if you're like, yesterday I was looking on Amazon and I just happened to come across this ad, and from then on, like I just started to just think like pervertedly, and I just wanted more, and so I started chasing more, and so then I started looking up on Google certain things, about fill in the blank. And so when the moment that you tell that, even though it can seem like kind of like rated R, whatever that might be, it opens the door for your accountability to be like, all right, well then next time we know to guard against this. Then they can ask you, hey, how did you do about this? Like, how did you do about being careful on Amazon? Like, did you avoid Amazon? That could look like setting up like physical boundaries of like being like, all right, I'm going to set a lock on Amazon to where like I physically cannot get onto Amazon without, a passcode that my accountability partner has. And so you can use accountability in so many different ways. It's a way to be in the war without being in it alone, right?
Yeah.
So like with it being a constant battle, you need people and soldiers alongside you fighting that with you. Otherwise, you're just going to be overwhelmed by just the army of just evil coming against you, right? So it's just accountability is so important, being surrounded by people who wants what's best for you and is ultimately going to help you in both spiritually and practically, and like praying for you and also helping you set up boundaries in order to further push you to freedom, right?
It's so good. Yeah. Accountability is key and so important because, like we said, it isn't going to be a one-time confession. Like, you're going to have to confess even if you're find freedom, but you still mess up every once in a while. Like, you still need that because then, like, you could fall back into it if you're, like, alone again. Like, we hear a lot, alone is dangerous, right? So that's what's so important. I want to also talk about boundaries, some more boundaries, like practical boundaries that can help you out with this. Like, I know for me, it was like, I'm not going to bring my phone into my room or be on my phone late at night by myself or whatever. Like, those were some boundaries. What are some boundaries you've had?
A lot of my problems, like, honestly, I struggled the most with was like social media. So it was like Instagram, YouTube, and then it would be like also even just like straight like search engines like Safari or whatever, stuff like that. And so for me, my biggest step into just blocking that and just creating boundaries was actually like downloading like this app that's like, I think it's called App Lock. And I did it with you.
Yeah.
Which what it does is you have to have a passcode to access the app, which in the app you can then like block certain apps and certain websites and whatnot. So like, for example, I knew which ones I struggled with, so I'd like block all of them. I'd be like boom, 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 boom. And so it would have a list of the stuff that I wanted to block. Well, then Hudson created the password for it. So he had access to it and I did not. So anytime that I'm not with him or anytime that I wanted it, I'd have to ask him for to put in the passcode so that I didn't know it. I couldn't, turn things on and off. So it physically blocked me from accessing all those. And so it was a mixture of just like being on social media too much and just taking in all the worldly, just the content and whatnot. But then also just using those as places to access things that I could lust after and pictures I could lust after. And so, that was one of the boundaries that I took to block that. The other thing that I did, which is also super well known, is Covenant Eyes. So I'm sure a lot of people have heard this, but like, especially with like pornography and whatnot, Covenant Eyes is an app. It's like a subscription, which kind of sucks if you have to pay for it. But like, for example, whenever I came to my dad, I think towards the end of last year, just asking for help just to get out, because I just felt hopeless and whatnot, just trying to figure out how to actually like block things. Like it was a combination of the app lock, but there's still ways to get around it because it was on my laptop, so I could go things on my laptop. So it was like just like there's still ways I could get around the app lock app. And so I was like, I need to figure out a way to get around this. And so I had heard of Covenant Eyes, and so I asked my dad, hey, would you please set this up? Like I need help just trying to just get out of it. Because at first he'd asked, I think it was a few years ago, he'd asked if I wanted it. And I was like, no, I don't want to spend money on it. Or it was like a year before. And I was like, I don't want to actually like spend money on it. I'll be fine. You're not fine. Like it is a struggle that at least that I struggle with so much that I was like, I need it, and it's so much worth it to pay whatever cost it is to be free from that. You know, like I would pay $100 to be free from that. More than $100, but like for a subscription, like
Yeah.
you know, it's so worth it to just pay even that small price just to be free from it, you know, and not be stuck in bondage. And so I got Covenant Eyes, and so that allowed me to both block my phone and my laptop. And so it would block things, but it would also alert my dad, like if something was like suspicious, and be like, hey, I could basically like send him an email, or like I guess I could send him an alert to his phone. I don't know how it works, but basically he's able to hold me accountable, because now if there's anything that were to be flagged or whatever, he would see it and he would know. So it just allowed him to be automatically accountability partner, so that I didn't have to be like every single time like, oh, this is where I sinned. Like it was a prevention to where it would not only keep me from sinning or falling short. And there's always ways to get around it, but it for the most part helped me to fall short, or keep me from falling short. And then also allowed my dad to be introduced into that, and so that I didn't have to constantly turn to him, but he could, you know, come to me and be like, hey, like this, I saw this, like, is this, you know, whatever. Like he's actually able to come to me as my partner. And so it just allows you to be able to partner up with your parent, or just whoever accountability partner you have. And so it's good. So I created those things on my phone. I think, yeah. And then also just like places like where I take my phone, the times I have my phone, and just being able to create those physical boundaries, like outside of just the digital, you know, and then just making sure that I'm super aware of just like where I bounce my eyes off of, because the sad reality is you can't block things that you see out in the real world. Like you can't just be like, all right, block. Now I can't see, you know, a woman dressed in a bathing suit or whatever. Like you can't just do that, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be intentional about yourself and your eyes. And so it's just a constant daily thing of just like making sure that you bounce your eyes off of whatever, you know, you may see. Like you may see something for a split second, but instead of dwelling on it, then you have the choice to just be like, nope, I'm going to look that way. I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to play a game. I'm going to, you know, do whatever. So, yeah.
So good. I like those boundaries are really helpful, because like we talked about earlier, you got to be serious about your sin, and about these boundaries. Like you got to be willing. You're going to have to sacrifice things that, let's say, you used to have Instagram, or you used to have this app, or you used to always go to these events or whatever, or watch these movies, and you really like those things, but they also cause you to sin at the same time. And so even though there might be some good things on those, whatever it may be, like let's say you listen to some Christian stuff on Instagram, but you also are looking up bad things, or bad things are popping up and it's causing you to lust, you're going to have to sacrifice those things if you want to be willing to find freedom from this. You know, like you're going to have to sacrifice things. Maybe it's even getting like a dumb phone, because like you just can't. Because like, I really like where you're talking about those boundaries. Like you said, like Covenant Eyes, like those things are good, and like I would encourage those. But like you said, if you really want to find something bad, like you're going to find a way around it. And so you can set up as many boundaries as you want, but if you don't decide like enough is enough, and you keep seeking for it, like you're going to find a way around it. And so that's really like what we've been talking about too, is like relying on God. Like you need to rely on God, and you need to be fully surrendered, in like your heart to him. Because if you're not, and you just keep going back and finding a way around, right? That's why accountability is important, all of that. But yeah, there's some really good boundaries that you were talking about. And boundaries are really important for prevention, you know, like why even get there, when you can prevent it. I think that's so good. And then I want to talk about living in freedom. Like, let's say you do find freedom, like we both did. Like, how do you stay in freedom? Because it isn't just like this one point and then like you're good for the rest of your life. Like, you're never going to sin again, or you're never going to have those super strong temptations or struggles. And I think something that's really good is that like Jesus sets you free, but your habits keep you free.
Mm-hmm.
Your boundaries keep you free. Your actions keep you free. Your confession keeps you free. And so Jesus can help save you, help you in that moment, help you get freed from this. Maybe you're even free for like a month, but then all of a sudden you fall back in and you're like, bro, I thought I defeated this. Like, what's happening? And a lot of times it's because we don't have these, like, Noah Heron, he's a pastor in Nashville, Tennessee. He says, like, your holy habits keep you free. And so you need to have these disciplines that will also keep you free. Like we just talked about, accountability, confession, boundaries, like that'll keep you free too.
How is it freedom if I'm still sinning on a day-to-day basis? Because I feel like if I'm still, like sinning and I'm still lusting after things, or I'm still looking at things, even if it's like a few months apart, like isn't that still mean I'm still like not freed from it? Because I feel like if I'm freed, doesn't that mean that I'm never going to sin ever again?
That's such a good question. So I want to like kind of give you a picture. Like, so remember the times when you're like deep in the sin and you're like can't get out, you can't seem to get the words out of your mouth, that you're stuck and you can't seem to share with others. Like, you're just in these chains, this bondage. So that's like bondage. That's what that looks like. And then look at the difference. So that's like where I've been, right? Like I talked about. And then now I'm at a place where I'm not looking at that stuff anymore. I still have temptations every day to thoughts or where I look or to look up stuff, but I can choose whether or not I sin or I don't sin, right? Because God always gives me a way out. But still, I still mess up sometimes, like where I look or what I think about or dwell on my thoughts. And so, or something pops up randomly on the TV or on my phone and my eyes stay there for a little too long, right? So I still mess up. It's few and far between, and I'm not held to it. I'm not controlled by it anymore. Like it's not stealing my joy 24/7 anymore. Sure, when I fall, it steals my joy, but that's what freedom versus bondage looks like. And guess what? We'll have full freedom from all sin when we're in heaven one day. And so there's this story of this young youth pastor. He's at a church, and he's struggling with lust and porn, and no one knows. And he's like, man, I've been fighting this. I'm trying to do better. Like one day, I'll never struggle with any of this. So he goes up to like one of the old elders there and in his 80s. And he asks this old guy, he's like, hey, Bob, what age did you finally like stop lusting and having these temptations? Like, when did you reach that? And Bob looked over at him and he said, I'll tell you when I get there. And so on this,
wisest men,
what?
One of the wisest men there, and he's still struggling.
Yeah. And so on this side of eternity, we're still going to have temptations. We're still going to fall, even if it's every once in a while, right? Because we live in a broken world and we're sinful. But we will have full freedom. We will from sin. We will sin no more. There'll be no more tears in heaven when we're, with Jesus there. And so that can be encouraging because you're like, oh, no one's perfect. Like, I'm not alone. But sometimes that can sound discouraging. Like, what? I'm not going to ever like stop. But let me just tell you, like, from where I was at to where I am now, like it's night and day, black and white. Like, it's so different when you're walking in freedom and when you have no secrets, when you can share with anybody, hey, this is where I messed up this week. Like, or like you can look back and say like, I haven't looked at that, for 2 years or whatever. Like, and you can live out your purpose and your calling, and you don't have to feel guilty when you walk into church or whatever. Like, or, it's just like this giant weight off your chest, and like, no more is that like pulling me down. Like, now I'm living free.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's possible.
It's definitely possible. But yeah, so we pray that, this helps you just find freedom from that. Like the enemy's desire is that through lust, that he's just going to just make you feel like disgusted and ashamed. If like there's no other place to go, like that you are like worthless, that you are completely lost. And the reality is that's not true. There's so many ways and places that you can find freedom. If you just let the Lord, like he's going to guide you and get you out of it. And there's no reason to be ashamed. It just gives you even more of a reason to go and look for help, right? Like you don't have to be in this alone. And so if that's you, I encourage you, we both encourage you to go and seek somebody who can just help you and hold you accountable, to help give you wisdom, to help just walk you through it. Because like I said, you don't have to be alone, right? This is not a battle that you can or should fight alone. It's a constant battle that you fight alongside other people, right? And we've both seen that in our own testimonies. So yeah, we just pray that this helps you guys find freedom eventually, and just it just helps to guide you and give you hope and give you peace in that. Yeah. Anything else to say?
Amen. That's so good, bro.
Amen.
I love that.
Yeah. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok. And we'll check you or see you next time. Check you out next time. See you next time.
All right. Love you guys.
See ya.
Peace out.